Hello everyone, welcome to Shifting Gears. I'm riding the new BSA Gold Star 650 and this is a much better motorcycle to ride than the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Now you already know the pricing. It starts at rupees 2.99 lakh ex-showroom. Talking about the specs, this motorcycle is powered by a 652cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine. It produces 45.6 PS of power, 55 Newton meters of torque. The seat height is 782 millimeters, which is very accessible. It has a weight of 201 kg. The wheelbase is 1425 millimeters. You have a 5-speed gearbox coupled to this engine, telescopic front forks, twin shock absorbers at the back with 5-step adjustment, and you have a disc brake at both ends along with dual channel ABS. This motorcycle rides on an 18-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear wheel. So beyond that, there is nothing fancy about this motorcycle, but let me tell you, ever since I was riding this today morning for my review ride, I have already done over 150 kilometers and this motorcycle has impressed me a lot. To give you a reference, I personally own a 2024 Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 and this BSA Gold Star 650 is much better to ride, much better to handle and much better in terms of comfort. So if you are someone who did not buy the Interceptor 650 just because it was, not offering you comfortable ride quality and because it was too heavy to manage, this is going to be a surprisingly pleasant experience. This motorcycle will be an eye-opening experience in the world of modern classics and I really love it. Now, first things first, let us talk about the weight. I told you the number, but now just have a look at this. The roads are tricky in India, and as you can notice, people don't really follow the lane markings. But anyway, this motorcycle feels very agile. It doesn't feel slow, lethargic, and overly heavy. So when you have to manage it through such situations, it will not let you down and it will not, feel too much. It is actually very well in your control. This is the first time that I am riding this BSA Gold Star 650 and let me tell you, in terms of managing the weight, I have had absolutely no problems at all. Even getting off the stand, no problem, and you don't have to put in an extra effort. So that also will keep new riders happy. Just have a look at this. Fast switchbacks and this BSA Gold Star 650, I mean, it is mighty impressive in terms of being able to just manage the weight. As you might have noticed, very easy to put the anchors down. The weight is easy to manage thanks to the dual channel ABS and disc brakes at both ends, and it is a nice motorcycle. It flows very nice, it flows very pleasantly, no tantrums and no scary movement at all. So if you are planning to buy the BSA Gold Star 650, let me tell you, you will not be let down. So in terms of weight, absolutely no problem. The next important point which I want to touch upon is ergonomics and overall riding posture. Now this is a modern classic, so you sit upright and the foot pegs are not center set but very mildly rear set. But this is a more retro kind of a rider's triangle. This is not at all aggressive, this is not at all committed. Nice and wide handlebar too, so you sit comfortably and you can do long hours over here on this saddle without any problem, so you won't feel tired. Today morning I was riding this bike from Mumbai all the way till Lonavala. No problems in terms of riding posture. There was no ache anywhere in my body. So my wrist, my elbow, my shoulder, my back, my bottom, my knees, nowhere in my body did I feel any pain, any fatigue. Now why I am saying that is because if I would have been riding the Interceptor 650, which I own personally, that bike I would have had to fight it a lot to manage it through fast switchbacks. But over here on this motorcycle, that is not a problem at all, and because of that you can ride for longer distances without getting tired, and that is something that all of us like, don't we? Nobody likes to have a stressed body at the end of the journey, and this Rider's Triangle, no problem at all. All the switches, they are very easy to operate, conventional placement, nothing oddball over here, and even with gloved hands everything is good, everything is easy to operate. The only thing I dislike about this motorcycle, the only two things actually, one is wire spoke wheels, so you don't have tubeless tires, so fixing a puncture is going to be an effort. And second thing which I don't like after that wire spoked wheel concern is this speedometer cluster. My OCD just refuses to accept it and look at it. I mean, of course it gives you the information in terms of RPM, your speed in kilometers per hour as well as miles per hour, but I mean that movement is not up to my taste, and also at night it doesn't really look like a modern day motorcycle. It looks a bit too old and dated, that speedometer cluster. Now that obviously would have been an intentional choice, but it definitely could have been better in terms of the illumination theme and colors to make it look as per a modern classic. Also, speedometer cluster has no major information, 2 trip meters and odometer. I button over here on the right hand side will help you toggle between that information, and you can switch that from kilometers per hour or kilometers to miles. So that is it. That is all the functionality that you get on that speedometer cluster. And as you can notice on the headlamp nacelle, you have the telltale lights for your bike, so that also is a very nice touch in terms of retro design theme. So you can notice that over here in the center. So that is pretty cool. I like how recessed it is, so you know, it looks good, it looks nice, it looks period correct for the motorcycle and its intended purpose. These mirrors, they have done a fine job. They are a bit too small for my liking, for the amount of view that I like when I'm riding a bike, but it's alright, I guess. It again comes down to personal taste. On the handlebar you will notice you have 2 USB charging points, Type C and Type A, so that is cool too. This is standard kit, not aftermarket, so this will also be useful if you're going out on a long ride to keep your gadgets charged, especially if you want to use a powered navigation device. It doesn't look all that great, but it is very well put together, and it has a cover too, so it is now weatherproof. All the switches and plastics acceptable, nothing great, but it looks like it will last the distance. It could have been better, but it's not bad at all. Now let us talk about how this motorcycle performs. I have spoken about all the basics that are necessary in terms of ergonomics and all of that, but the main reason, the primary purpose of this video is to understand if this engine, this new 650cc engine which is made in India, the largest single cylinder liquid cooled motor that is manufactured in India, is this good enough for India, and is this better than the Interceptor 650? We will make a few references. So first things first, there is no gear position indicator, alright? So you have to know in which gear you are in whenever you are riding this motorcycle. Right now I'm in first, I'm shifting to second, and I'm shifting to third already. As you can notice, the speed is under 40 kilometers per hour, and this engine is very tractable. Check this out. I will move to the slow lane, and now I'm going to let the speed drop. I'm actually upshifting. Now I'm in fourth gear. Fourth gear, 40 kilometers per hour, no problem. Getting on the gas, no jerky movement. So very nice and tractable engine. So the torque delivery lower down in the rev range is quite nice. It doesn't feel like it is struggling to gain momentum at lower revs in higher gear. I'm going to move to the fifth gear right now. Right now in fifth, I'm letting the speed drop. So I'm at almost 50 kilometers per hour. And let me tell you, in fifth gear, from 50 all the way over 140, you can do that no problems. And I have had no problems riding this bike fast today. I have had no problems riding this motorcycle slow today. And it has been a mighty pleasant experience. I was actually surprised how good this BSA Gold Star is, because my expectations were not so much, and I was such a happy puppy at the end of my ride, at the midpoint. And now I'm shooting this video for you because now I know everything that this motorcycle can do. So in terms of engine refinement, of course this is a big single, but it is better than what I had imagined. So in terms of vibrations and feeling that engine knocking at maybe lower revs in higher gears, no major problem. So this is not bad at all. The engine, whenever you get on the gas, it has good grunt, and when you do that, it doesn't really feel like it is under stress. But because it is a single, of course it feels like a single. So there is some buzz at higher revs, maybe over 4000 rpm. The engine doesn't really feel all that relaxed. There is some pulsation that you feel. The vibrations are not to the point that it will make you uncomfortable, but yeah, you would feel it. Not so much on the handlebar though, but on the pegs and inherently between your legs, where this engine is actually. So you would feel like there is quite a bit of action that is happening. So that is something that you will have to live with. But I guess that is it. Now that would not be a pleasant experience only for someone who has experienced the Interceptor 650. Because that 650 is a twin. It is a very smooth, creamy motor. But if you have never ridden a twin, and if you ride this doesn't feel bad at all. It feels just as good as any other single. And for such a big capacity single, things are impressively in control in terms of NVH. So no problems. And heat management too, I have not faced any complaints. So today I'm riding from Mumbai, Lonavala back to Mumbai. Yesterday I was riding this bike all around Mumbai, and I was riding it from Andheri all the way till Thane in peak hour traffic. No problems in terms of heat management. So it was not like I had to move my legs far away from the motor and get comfortable. It was not at all troublesome. And it's a hot day today. It was a hot day yesterday, so heat management has not really been any of my concern. Even right now, when we were at crawling speeds, the engine doesn't really heat up. When I was going up the ghat, I was really ringing the throttle. Even then, the engine was not really heating up to the point that it would demand a brake. So absolutely no problems. So now let us talk about performance. You know the numbers, and what I want to tell you is that this BSA Gold Star 650 is a fast motorcycle. It doesn't feel slow at all. If you have ridden an Interceptor 650, let me tell you, this is a single, that is a twin, but this is as fast as that motorcycle. And I mean that from a standstill and also in roll-on acceleration. Check this out right now. I'm in 5th gear. The engine RPM is a little over 3000. I'm at 80 kilometers per hour. And as soon as I get on the gas, have a look at that speedometer needle climb. I mean, it is fast. In-gear acceleration is mighty impressive. And for a modern classic, for a big single, this is really good. Really strong acceleration, punchy performance. So, I mean, this is a fun motorcycle for your weekend rides for sure, even for long rides. The only deterrent to your long rides are going to be those wire spoked wheels, because if at all you face a puncture, I mean, God bless you, because first you'll have to push this bike, and second, finding a puncture repair guy in the middle of nowhere, it is just based on luck. So never mind that, enough ranting about that. But the engine, just have a look at this, man. I mean, wow, I was so impressed in the morning. I'm so happy right now too. BSA has really done a very fine job with this engine in terms of how good it performs, how well it accelerates. Check this out. Overtaking slower vehicles on the highway, drop a gear and disappear, because getting over 100 kilometers per hour is absolutely no problem at all. In terms of top speed, you can do well over 150 kilometers per hour, but I don't really want to speak about that because I don't want to promote too much of high speed riding. But yeah, it can do that. Now, the only thing is that when you do that, because this is a big single, it doesn't really feel as calm as an Interceptor 650 would feel, because then that is a twin. This would feel like it is almost nearing to its edge in terms of refinement when you ride that hard and fast. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. But in terms of performance, for highway, for your long rides, this is not a slow machine at all. You can easily maintain 100 to 120 kilometers per hour, and at that speed you can go long distance touring, munch miles really fast, and reach your destination sooner. So don't think that you have purchased a modern classic which looks so old school and it is going to be too slow. It is not slow at all by any margin. Let me just pull over to the shoulder and we will accelerate from 0 to 100 and we will check out how fast this feels. So no riding modes, by the way, on this motorcycle, so check this out. Full throttle, 650cc big single, and we are already over 100 kilometers per hour in no time. So what more do you want? I mean, it looks cool. Everybody was looking at this motorcycle when we had it parked at our breakfast point, and when you want to just get away from onlookers, this is fast to do that. We will try the acceleration one more time just to demonstrate how quickly it gets on to 0 to 60, then to 100, so that you have a better reference. But this is not a poser. This has actually more go than it has show. So that is why I have been so impressed, because I thought, okay, fine, a big single, a modern classic, everybody's getting into the retro bandwagon, but I mean, this is quite a performer. And this engine, it is really good for city commuting and also for highway touring. So let us again pull over. Let us watch out. Now I am coming to a standstill. And now in 3, 2, 1. Look at that speedometer needle climb. I mean, wow, what a fast machine. Of course, when you do that, the pegs vibrate a bit. If you're grabbing onto the tank, you'll feel some vibration on the tank. But I mean, it is alright. It is so exciting that would not be something that you would be focusing on. You will be looking at the road, how everything is just passing by so fast. So, yeah, performance, no problems. So I told you that the engine has good punch to keep you going. It is tractable enough too. And just to demonstrate in-gear acceleration, roll-on acceleration, have a look at this. I'm in 5th gear, and if I have to overtake this vehicle, I simply have to get on the gas. I mean, he has to decide first where he's going, and just check this out. No problems, absolutely no problems. You do not require frequent gear changes on this machine, even though this is a big single. Again, check this out. I'm dropping the speed. I am in 5th gear. And just have a look at this. Under 60 now. Very well under 60. Almost at 50 kilometers per hour. Getting on the gas at 50. A little bit of juddering. But beyond 60 in 5th gear, absolutely no problems. And now you can keep rolling on the gas, and you are good to go. And like I mentioned, in 5th gear, from 50 to over 150, you can do that. So, the next point which I want to speak about is the gearbox. Now, the clutch operation is not as heavy as the Interceptor 650 which I own. So, this is not a problem at all. Is this the lightest clutch? Not really. But is this something that will bother you? Not really. Because I have driven it in mixed conditions. I rode it in traffic, and I did not face any troubles in terms of managing the clutch. Now, the clutch and brake levers, both of them are not of the adjustable type, so you will have to live with the positioning as is. But ergonomically, there is absolutely no problem. The gearbox is smooth, it is slick. Not once did I miss shift. Precise gear changes all the time. While commuting, while touring at average speeds, and even under hard acceleration. Never did the gearbox let me down, or did it feel too clunky. Now, I wish there was a gear position indicator, because since I'm used to riding motorcycles with a 6th gear, I was frequently trying to upshift, and if there was a telltale sign that I was in 5th gear, I would save that effort for myself. But nevertheless, it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. But the gearbox by default, it has performed as expected. When I was going up the ghat, when I was coming down the ghat, even under fast, hard downshifts, the gearbox did a fine job. It helped me control the motorcycle very well in terms of engine braking too. And this weight of this motorcycle, the number is over 200 kg. But once you swing a leg, let me tell you, it doesn't feel like a motorcycle which weighs over 200 kg at all. It just swings along so pleasantly, so beautifully, that I would actually recommend a BSA Gold Star to potential modern classic buyers more than I would say go ahead for the Interceptor, because the Interceptor is just too much to manage inside the city and out on the highway too. The ride quality is really horrible with the Interceptor 650, and Royal Enfield niggles are just, too much, and nobody knows what happens with those bikes because nothing is consistent, neither the quality nor the niggles. Now have a look at this really bad road, typical of Mumbai. It is such a shame that Mumbai has such roads. And this Gold Star 650, I did not have to get my bottom off the seat because it just handled it so well. So in terms of rough road ability, if you're buying this bike, if you're going to get into the rural areas of India, if you're going to go touring, the suspension setup, it is not bad at all. It is actually much better than the Interceptor for sure. Now let's talk about the ride quality of this BSA Gold Star 650. So like I said, you get telescopic front forks, dual shock absorbers at the back, and the suspension tune has been absolutely on point. Have a look at this. When I'm riding this bike fast, the suspension gives me enough confidence to carry all of these speeds, and no matter if I have to overtake a vehicle, if I have to hard accelerate, if I have to slam on the brakes, the suspension setup, the suspension tune, the way it handles everything is absolutely on point. And because of that, the weight bias of this motorcycle stays ideal. The motorcycle remains very easy and effortless to manage, and then you can have a lot of fun. Never does it feel bone jarring, never does it feel overly stiff like the Interceptor does, and just because of that you can ride for so much longer without requiring a stop to relax and stretch. And that is a really big highlight of this motorcycle. That is where the Interceptor 650 fails miserably in terms of providing you comfort. Just have a look at this. Under hard acceleration, and now when I want to stay on the gas through these long sweeping corners, the bike stays really well balanced, and there is not too much of movement which makes you uncomfortable, which is making me uncomfortable. And I think as a modern classic, this is possibly the best that you can get at this price. Compare any Royal Enfield motorcycle, because Royal Enfield really speaks too proudly about their bikes being the truest form of motorcycling. I mean, each of their product has a hit or miss in some department. This BSA Gold Star 650, if Classic Legends can nail their marketing strategy, this can be a very good product for them globally, because it looks and feels like it is well put together. I hope that they have no reliability concerns, and if that is the case, they will do very well in the sales department, because once you ride this bike, there is no denying the fact that this is much better than a Royal Enfield. Because just have a look at this. You can't do silly speeds on Royal Enfield motorcycles. You can on this, even though this also weighs quite a bit. It is just that it is so well put together in terms of the weight, the center of gravity, and the way it handles the chassis balance. Spot on. Good job, Classic Legends. I was never really a fan of Java and ESD bikes, but this, I love it. I really like it. I will open-heartedly recommend it. Now, the next point which I want to speak of is the tires and brakes. Now, the stock setup which is on offer, both in terms of tires and brakes, good enough, no complaints. Very good confidence riding this bike up and down the ghat, really leaning it to its maximum. No problem, no scare at all. Even when the road surface was a little damp, the tires were gripping onto the surface just fine. And in terms of brakes, they have also offered me phenomenal stopping power. So never did I feel that I was overshooting in a particular situation, because the brakes did manage to bring the bike in control every time that I wanted to. Of course, could it have been better? Yes, I would have liked better bite, especially from the front brake, because it doesn't feel as good to me, but it is not really bad. I mean, if you want to slow down, it is not bad. You can put the anchors down and the bike will manage a good line. You will slow it down safely and securely. Now have a look at this. All right, I'm going to upshift to second gear, and I'm not going to give any throttle input. So check this out, just slipping the clutch. Now this is a big single, mind you, and check this out, decent torque to keep rolling. I have now released the clutch completely, getting on the gas, no knocking, no jerks, no hesitation, and we are good to go. So tractability is okay. I mean, it's not bad at all. Yes, it is not as good as a twin, but for a single, this is as good as it gets. Now, in terms of the overall feel as a modern classic retro themed motorcycle, I think they have got everything right in terms of the looks, the rider's triangle, and in terms of performance, I think they have done exceedingly well. So what is my verdict about this BSA Gold Star 650? I would say it is a much better product to ride than the Interceptor 650. Now, the charm of the Royal Enfield Twin is that that engine is beautiful. It is so smooth, it is so torquey, it is so creamy that you actually have to try hard to believe that it is a Royal Enfield product. But that's it. Everything else is a hit or miss on that motorcycle. And I'm saying this after buying it. I'm saying it after spending lakhs of rupees on it. This, I mean, this is such an underdog. I really hope Classic Legends can market this well, because this has so much potential as a good, fast motorcycle to ride, even though it looks like it is from the past, but it can blast past everybody on the highway. Now, smaller things but significantly important things. The seat of this motorcycle, the seat height is very accessible. So even the shortest of riders, even 5'5" or 5'4", y'all can ride this bike. Y'all won't really feel any problem. The seat is fantastically padded. So it is nice and flat, gives good, contact and comfort for your bottom. And the padding has kept me comfortable throughout my ride journey. And the good thing is that because it is flat, you can keep sliding around on the seat to get more comfort or to just stretch around. So that also will keep you happy when you're going out on a long ride. So the seat, great. These turn indicators and all of that, they look a bit custom motorcyclish. It doesn't really feel like a properly finished product. There are some rough edges to it. Even over here, these covers over the forks, these welds should have been on the inner side, because here they are visible to me all the time. So maybe that attention to detail to such things can improve the overall perceived quality of this motorcycle. And the foot pegs and everything, just have a look at this. They could have looked a bit better than what they are. But I mean, that's about it. I don't really want to fault this motorcycle too much, because when you ride it, it is so impressive that everything else maybe you can ignore a bit. A few features which I would have liked on this BSA Gold Star 650. I wish there was a gear position indicator. I wish there was mileage information, and I wish there was distance to empty. That would have made things just about perfect. I mean, I'm not asking for navigation or telephone connectivity, but all of these elements now are hygiene features. Even scooters under 1 lakh rupees are offering that. I mean, not gear position indicator, but everything else is now available on scooters too. So that should have been here on this Gold Star 650. So that is it, guys. That is all that I want to share with you about this BSA Gold Star 650. If you have watched the entire video, two things: you have a lot of patience, and the second, you might have understood that I have absolutely loved it the way this rides. So let us know, what are your thoughts about this motorcycle? Would you buy it? Would you buy it over the Interceptor 650? If you have any other queries about this motorcycle, ask me in the comments below and I will try my best to help you out. Till next time, subscribe to the Shifting Gears channel. Always, guys, ride safe, whenever you are going out on weekend rides, do not get overly excited and keep things in your control, no matter what the engine size below the tank, between your legs, whatever you would like to say. See you soon and ride safe.